we're working a little bit with rocks, and this style of masonry or dry stacking in Hawaiian is called pōhaku. Pōhaku. And what that means is generally just a dry stack uh, type of masonry that does not use any type of mortar or concrete or binder. It just uses the rock, the weight, the geometry of it, the shape, those angles which create the friction that holds the rocks together. So several different types of rock walls that exist. You have some retaining walls that typically are used in terracing. There's fish ponds, there's rock structures that are used in ceremonies and those types of things, heiaus. They were all built around rocks. And so rocks and rock wall building generally follow the same dynamics. And what we try to look at is, one, we take a look at the types of materials we use or we have on hand, and we try to just work with that. So the style of learning that I was taught does not chip rocks or break rocks. There are some builders that will do that to get that right fit. We don't, however. So we'll go through some of the examples of some rocks and get familiar with what they are, what they look like, and their purposes, and then we'll build up from there. So there's some typical rocks that we use, some names that are identifiable for these rocks. The larger, kind of flatter rocks that we use, we call them niho stones or niho rocks. And these rocks are generally the rocks that set the base of our wall. And in some circumstances, we would trench out to make sure that these niho stones sit well into the earth or into the sand or whatever substrate we're building in. For this particular project, we probably will be pulling out a little bit of the backfill dirt and sinking these niho a little further into the ground. And that just helps with solidifying the wall at its base. Niho in Hawaiian is in reference to teeth. So the importance in niho is similar to how your teeth sit in your gums. These niho stones will sit firmly into the substrate in whatever capacity that we want it to. Every stone is very unique. And so as a builder, we take our time to study our stones. We study the environment that we're building in, and that function or that act is called to kilo. It's to study what you're doing. So we kilo the environment that we're gonna be building in. This particular types of rock now, we started with our niho on the bottom. Now we move to what's called alo. And alo stones are generally stones that have a nice flat face to them and will typically face outwards from the wall. So if it's facing the ocean, it'll be out flat like so. Alo in Hawaiian is face. And so similar to our face, we look for the flattest face of these stones, and that's what gives us that outer line. Alos can range in size. They can be as big as some nihos or as small as a head size. They're important in the structure and the integrity of the wall, and it gives the wall its power. All of the rocks merged together give it its pure integrity. The next type of rock that we have are haka rocks. And haka are generally hand size to fist size. They can be a little larger and a little smaller. What we teach and what we're learning is that the biggest rocks you have can be balanced by one of the smallest. And so the function of a haka or a wedge shape or a shim type of rock is just to give the backing of your rock. It's to help keep that rock stable. Wherever you determine your alo to sit, your hakahakas now hold that stone in place. As we get higher into our wall, we use what we call papale. So papale stones are generally nice and flat. This is a wonderful example of a papale stone. These generally will sit at the top of your wall, and they kind of even out your wall. And so papales, in some building situations, you would want a really heavy, nice stone. And that will help just weigh down all the rocks under it. So it's a really unique opportunity to play around with different types of rocks, studying just the makeup of them, where they best fit, and that's all through your kilo or your exercises of study, which give you, as a builder, the best opportunities to build a solid wall. Each rock plays its own purpose and has its own role. And without one of them, your wall and the integrity of that wall is jeopardized. So understanding how they all connect to each other, from papale to alos to hakahakas to niho, those are the general basic stones that we use. And like I said, they are all super important. Without one, the others won't necessarily function. Now, when you're studying your environment or your particular type of wall, you take into consideration the angles of the wall. What is the purpose or the intention of that wall? And through that intention, when it's discovered, then you design your wall. And that's that step that is important to any builder or craftsman when it comes to uhau humu pōhaku, is the true understanding of the intent of what we're building. So understanding that every rock has its qualities and its importance, the style of building with rocks, uhau humu pōhaku, is an art that is continually evolving. And I welcome anyone if you're interested in it. There are many wonderful leaders in our communities that are leading skill sets and learning opportunities for us. And if you're interested in that and want to learn with me, please let us know. Come out and join us. Find an event that you can connect yourself to, where we can provide some learning with this. And let's get you connected to the art and the craftsmanship of dry stacking, masonry, uhau humu pōhaku. Mahalo.